here, and I'm excited about this episode because if you are like so many women that I talk to who find dinner time to be so overwhelming, to find the responsibility of always trying to figure out what to eat, planning out meals, grocery shopping, all of the things to be hard, that is what we're going to do today. We're going to actually do something that I've never done on an episode like this before. We're going to workshop this out. So it's actually going to be you kind of getting into my brain, my thinking about what I do each and every week to make sure that I am set up for success with my family. Because it's just like I used to say, these kids, it's like they just want to eat every day. Of course they do. We want them to. But it's like being able to, there's a lot around the mindset, the stress, the anxiety, and just the pure complications of managing a family and getting dinner on the table every night in a way that you feel like you're in control and you're doing something for your family, but also that you also do the other things that you need to do. I mean, what I really want to know from you, if you're watching live, if you're watching on replay or listening to this on the podcast, here's the question I want you to ponder. Does dinner feel harder than other meals? Like, what is so hard about dinner? Put it in the comments if you have an answer to that. Because what I've learned over the years of working with thousands of women is that is a really good question that requires us to be able to really dig into our mindsets, our thinking, more than understanding food. I mean, the hard thing about the dinner piece, I believe, is less around what we put on the table and more around certain thinking that goes on. So we're going to dig into that today. But I also know, and this was true for me for so many years, and I know this was true as I was growing up as a young girl for my mom, was what you feed the family and what you feed yourself. And we often have this mindset like, what I'm eating for dinner, if it's the same thing as what my kids are eating, I'm not going to be able to lose weight. I'm not going to be able to reach my weight loss goals. And if I eat a different meal than my kids, well, then that's sort of telling my kids that I'm on a diet and I don't want to do that. And it gets to be really complicated and confusing, right? Give me some comments on what you're taking from this as we talk, because this is, I think, an unspoken massive issue with so many women. And it was with me for so long. Back when my girls were about 5 and 6 years old, we had pizza night every Friday night. And I would order the pizza for the kids and the husband and get a salad with dressing on the side for me. And if you order from, a regular pizza place, it's got amazing pizza. They don't always have the most amazing salads. It's like iceberg lettuce and like a few cucumbers and tomatoes. And that's what I would have, thinking that I needed to eat that. But like, I was eating with the family. I was having the pizza night. I was getting food delivered, but I really wasn't. And every night I remember it was always this battle of, let's just do something simple. I will feed the kids this and then I'll eat that. My husband wants something else. Or I don't really have time to cook. So you just do whatever you can. And like, you just are constantly in this reactive, chaotic mode. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so what I'm going to walk you through today is part of the system that we teach our clients around just the concept of meal planning versus meal prepping. And how do you get dinner on the table every night for your family? And I will tell you as well, I don't cook dinner every single night because I don't think as a woman, I need to be the one to cook dinner every night. I think that a lot of us, again, this is going to get into some mindset stuff, believe that that is what our role is and should be, or that if we let our husbands do it, that it's just going to be like garbagey food and that we don't want our kids to eat, or that we don't want to eat. There's just like a whole lot of complications. So the first thing I'm going to say to you all, we're going to workshop stuff. We're going to get you in my thinking. and what we teach our clients. So I hope that this is really practical and helpful for you. But what the first thing is that we just have to start with the conversation. What is actually happening in dinner time in your family? What is actually happening with the intentionality of how we get dinner on the table? Is there any intentionality? What is actually happening around grocery shopping? Is there any intentionality in that? Or is it just like, we just do what we can to survive? I really would love to hear from you about where you are and what's happening in your life on a daily, weekly basis. Because here's what I know. We all have to eat. Even if you do not understand how to eat in a way that really fuels your body, balances your blood sugar in the way that we teach at Disruptive Nutrition, you still are eating and you're going to the grocery store. And if you have kids, you're feeding them. Is it just like whatever we can do, or are we really being intentional about it? Because we often think that if I am intentional and get like actual food versus like frozen food or just random stuff on the table, that it's going to take more time. And I'm here to tell you, it actually takes me more time, energy, and money to be random than it is for me to be intentional. And it's taken me a really long time to learn this. And I would say to you, I think this is why we're so different at Disruptive Nutrition, because at Disruptive Nutrition, this is why we disrupt the notion that we just need to learn how to eat in order to be able to figure things out. We need to know how to fuel our body correctly. We absolutely do. We have to recognize that there are two schools of thought around nutrition. One is deprivation and the other is blood sugar stabilization. Blood sugar stabilization is what I have been teaching for years. It is what transformed my life and the life of all of my coaches. And it was what really how we eat so we can make it a lifestyle. I have literally never seen taught out there except from the teaching of Mark McDonald. And Mark McDonald is my business partner. Mark McDonald is one of our people. Mark McDonald wrote the book literally more than 10 years ago about the concept. And when I learned it through him, and then he and I started partnering together and recognizing that we just teach people how to eat, that is amazing. And there's literally nobody else out teaching it in the way that we teach. And he has certified tens of thousands of people on how to eat this way. But nobody is recognizing the behavioral piece that goes along with it, the lifestyle that goes along with it, the mindsets that go along with it. I can teach you all how to eat, but it will not translate to your lifestyle if you don't have strategies in place to not just understand how to organize your life, but also how to manage your thinking. They all have to go together. And so blood sugar stabilization is one school of thought, but we have taken it to a whole nother level because you can learn blood sugar stabilization in the way that we teach, which is what I believe answers the three questions of any approach. One, is it based in science, designed for your body to thrive? Two, would you let your kids do it? And three, can you do it for the rest of your life? Even people that teach blood sugar stabilization don't teach it in a formulaic way. And I'm not saying formula like rigid. I'm saying formula like the guardrails on a highway. Like you just know how to eat. You know your body. You become intuitive with your body because of the way that we teach it. Or the second school of thought is deprivation, counting calories, counting points, fasting, keto, all of that has to do with deprivation, even intuitive eating. And we're going to do a whole series on all of those kinds of things. But blood sugar stabilization is completely different. Now, I know a lot of people that are like, okay, blood glucose monitor, and I'm all around a continuous glucose monitor sometimes, but it's just another form of obsession of tracking what you eat when you don't have to. And there's also no formula. It's just like, let's have this food, let's have that food. Oh, let's try this. And it's just like crapshoot and see what food spikes your blood sugar and what doesn't. It doesn't give you an understanding about food in general in your body. It's just much more around kind of tracking what's going on. And it's a tool, but it's not a lifestyle. So blood sugar stabilization is the key, but knowing how to do something for the rest of your life, regardless of what life throws at you, is even more important. So if we're talking about dinner and how stressful all of it is, right? And we don't know how to eat correctly, and we're always on a diet, it's always going to just get all jumbled up. So let's talk through how we actually make this work. So I always say that there are three ways that we eat at Disruptive Nutrition. One, we have amazing recipes, and we eat a protein, fat, and carb every time we eat. every 3 to 4 hours. That is the key to balancing our blood sugar. It is powerful. It is incredible. And go back to our previous, like our first few podcasts, you're going to see even more around the science of it. We have blogs, all sorts of stuff. I don't want to get too much into that right now because that could take a whole bunch of time. But let's talk about, okay, blood sugar stabilization. The concept of it is that we're fueling our body regularly. We're a refuel as you go machine. We're eating a protein, fat, and carb every 3 to 4 hours. People think that it's super hard to do that. No, it's not super hard to do that. We eat in 1 of 3 ways. Amazing recipes, grab and go meals, really, really fast. I always say apple almonds in turkey. Boom, super fast. You don't have to have a recipe for it. Or like a high quality meal replacement, like a protein shake or a protein bar. Boom, you can eat 5 to 6 times a day eating any one of those formulas. So when I think about those formulas, then I translate that into, okay, so if I'm eating, think about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let's just go with that for a second in terms of old school thinking about we need 3 meals a day. We need more than that. But let's just say let's go to our old school of thinking. We do a breakfast, okay, PFC meal, right? Lunch, PFC meal, dinner, PFC meal. In between, PFC meal, PFC meal. It's really not that hard. So if I do a PFC breakfast, then 3 hours later, I might do a protein shake. Great. I can mix and match any of the stuff. And then 3 hours later, I'm going to have my PFC quote unquote lunch. And then 3 hours later, I'm going to have my PFC another meal. It might be a grab and go quick thing. Maybe I'll do a protein bar. And then I'm going to do my PFC dinner. That's the one that trips people up the most. That's the one that causes people the most stress. So let me tell you what I do. Because it is one thing to understand PFC. It's a whole nother thing to be able to implement it for the rest of your life and to make sure that you are not in this place of chaos around dinner. And it's going to happen every single day. And so we want to make it work for you. So here's what I do. And I also told you we're going to get around the concept of mindset. A lot of people think when they start a new diet that they have to meal prep, like on Sundays, spend hours of time meal prepping. I will tell you right now, I do not do that at all, nor do most of our clients. In order to eat healthy and to be prepared and to eat as many times as we do during the day, you do not have to spend hours in the kitchen on a Sunday. Meal prepping is cooking all of the meals that you really are planning on having and then being able to have them throughout the week. Well, if you're going to do that and it's going to take so much time, inevitably a Sunday is going to come through when you plan on doing it that you have other things to do and you're not going to do it. And then that's going to throw you off for the whole week. It can't be a plan that makes it so rigid that if you miss a day, you're off for the whole week. So I do and teach the concept of meal planning. Now, I know that the idea of dinner becomes so overwhelming because it feels like we have to be this like perfect parent, mom, showing up for our family in a way that comes through with our meals. And it is a mindset that we have, especially women, around being able to do it all. Being the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect career person, all of those things. And that trips us up. I call it analysis paralysis. Or if we could actually reframe our thinking in the idea of done is better than perfect, and our kids are not going to necessarily remember if we're perfect all the time, but they are going to remember the chaos. They are going to remember that like you're just not present, right? And so if you are in this place of like, now we just went through 2023, the beginning of 2023. So many people are like, I'm going to get organized. I'm going to have all my meal planning and and then we all fall off because we make it so hard and so big because we think it has to be perfect. I want us to get rid of the idea of perfect and recognize that we don't have to do things separately, that you don't have to give up what your goals are so that your kids are fed. And you don't have to be thinking, well, the kids do chicken nuggets while we do something else. We can all be eating the same food and it doesn't take that long. So every single Sunday morning. Now, I will tell you, I travel a lot. I am like a volleyball tournament travel team mom. I mean, we are busy. I do not spend my Sundays meal prepping, but I do spend every single morning in morning time. And every single morning in morning time, I'm super intentional with my time. We are going to be doing a time management challenge. I think it's in March. I have to look and see. It's going to be a 2-week time management challenge. It's going to be so awesome. It's a piece of the puzzle of what we're going to talk about today. But I'm going to kind of tell you that I am very intentional about my time, and I spend about 15 minutes every single morning just being ready for my day and using the tools that we have and that I teach our clients. On Sundays, I change that up. I use our recipe planner pad. This is in our shop. You can go grab it or you can make your own. Okay. And on one side, for those of you that are not watching this on video, one side just says dinner plans Monday through Friday, and the other side says grocery list. I literally, in the mornings on Sunday morning, I fold the paper in half and I write my dinner plans on one side and then the corresponding grocery list on the other. I cut it down and then I literally do my grocery shopping based on this list here. And I'll tell you how I do that in a second. But the dinner plan is what I do. I will tell you that my dinner planning, I don't do prepping, I do dinner planning, takes me less than 15 minutes a week. And this is how I do it. Now, I'm going to give you show you the tools and resources I use, but they're transferable. If you don't use our tools and resources, you can use whatever ones work for you. But I want to show you what we have here, because I told you that we eat in one of 3 ways. We eat recipes, grab and go, and we do like meal replacements, like protein shakes or protein bars. Now, every single week, I go ahead and take a look at our recipe subscription. Now, our recipe subscription is only open twice a year, and it is open in January and is open in July. So that is it. So if this is interesting to you, you need to go and grab this. It is an incredible resource that I use every Sunday. There's an app. I just pull up my app. Now I'm sharing my screen for those of you that are watching and not listening. And so I will walk you through what I'm showing you. But if you have recipes that you love, it's the same exact concept. It's just a matter of having the tool in front of you. Now, in our recipe vault, we have all sorts of getting started resources. And one of the things that you get in our recipe vault is our grab and go meal resources. So 101 grab and go PFC meal ideas and an additional grab and go vegetarian vegan PFC meal ideas. Could you use those for dinner? Yes. I don't, because they're super simple. And I do want to be able to cook for my family and have a sit down for a meal together. Now, I said I don't cook every single night. I don't. My husband takes, I think my husband takes 2 nights. My kids each take a night, and then I take the remaining nights. Now, I do sit down and plan the dinners unless my kids want to. They're teenagers. You may or may not have kids that can do that, and that may or may not work for you. But let me tell you a little bit about what I plan every single week. So when I'm in the recipe portal, we have this thing called the recipe tracker. And again, you don't have to use ours, but I love the recipe tracker because what I do is I write down the different meal names that we are trying, and then everybody gets a column and they get to vote on whether or not they like it. And then what I do every Sunday is I just take a look at our reviews and I repeat the most popular recipes. I do not have to come up with something brand new every single day. And I think that that's really important to recognize, that I definitely don't have to do that. And by doing that, and by having our family review the recipes and tell us what they like, then we are doing some really cool kind of like just repeat recipes and everybody loves them. Now, when we are in the recipe subscription, and like I said, I don't necessarily have, I don't meal prep, I just meal plan. Let's take a look back again here, because then I go into the actual recipes in the categories. Again, if you don't have a recipe subscription, you can do this with any recipe, but I will tell you, they won't be PFC balanced. PFC balanced, these recipes take all the thinking out of the recipe piece, right? So like, this is what I think has lifted so much weight off of our shoulders, is that any single recipe that I choose, let's say I go into poultry, there's 23 pages of poultry, and I decide to go with Asian chicken salad. I don't know, I'm just picking one here. I know that that it is completely PFC balanced. I know what my ingredients are, all of that kind of stuff. I can download the recipe. I can save it to my phone. I can also mark it as a favorite, which is what I do with my family rating ones. So the very first thing I do is I just go to my favorites on the app and I look at them and I just pick out, literally, there are 7 days of a week. We usually go out for dinner one night a week. So there are 6 nights I have to plan for. I take at least 4. Well, let me say it this way. I usually do 4 of our favorites, or I might do less, but I do no more than 2 new recipes. I don't do more than 2 new recipes. And let me tell you what I do. So I go to the favorites and I determine, okay, these are our favorites. I'm going to do this on Monday. I look at my week ahead and how much time I have. We're going to do this on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday and whatever days are going to be these repeated recipes. Now, I will also tell you that I have very simple go-to PFC meal ideas. Like, we subscribe to a fish company, Wild Alaskan Fish Company, and I get them delivered to my house. So I get salmon delivered individually, vacuum sealed. So I know I always have salmon. So that is typically a go-to. Salmon, a bunch of veggies on the side. Salmon is a protein and a fat, a bunch of veggies, maybe a little bit of brown rice. Bam. PFC meal, maybe a salad, whatever I want to do, some sort of great vegetable and a little bit of brown rice. Those are my carbs, my protein and my fat or my salmon. Bam, super easy, protein, fat, and carb. Or maybe I'm going to do chicken breast with a marinade on it, Primal Kitchen. I totally recommend. And have, again, some veggies, maybe brown rice or quinoa or something on the side of that. Those don't take recipes. Those can be go-to quick and easy PFC dinners. They're not like the grab and go where it's just like puzzle pieces that you don't have to cook. These are cooking, but it's super simple. Maybe I'm doing a sweet potato with broccoli and my salmon or my chicken or my, steak, whatever it is. That could be super easy. Or I take maybe up to 3 or 4 of my favorite recipes that are in our favorites in the recipe subscription, and I put them down on the plan. And then I usually pick 2 new recipes. So when I pick 2 new recipes, now you can do this if you have time. This doesn't stress me out because the rest of meal planning is so easy and it's exciting to me. I love it. So when you're in our recipe vault, every single month, we release new recipes. So I love to go into the latest month of recipes and pick out 1 or 2 brand new recipes that I'm going to try. And then the family votes on it. We see if it's a winner. If it is, it goes into my favorites. And now I'm constantly rotating between the same basic recipes, but they don't get boring. And I know they're PFC balanced and your kids will love them. Every single recipe has to be kid tested. So I highly suggest the recipe subscription as a tool for you. We're talking $20 a month. It's $5 a week for the most freedom and security, where it's like you're not leafing through recipe books or the internet. It's just so simple and streamlined. Now, and if you do it by the year, I think you get 2 months free that way. It's so simple, plus tons of extra resources and a training every single month on cooking. But when I do my plan, when I do my plan on the other side, and you can do this on a blank piece of paper, or you can go into a shop and grab the recipe pad, I write the ingredients that I need. Now, I will tell you, because I'm repeating a lot of the same recipes, I often have those ingredients or they're on my regular rotation. I actually typically shop online, either at my local grocery store or at Whole Foods, or a combination of both, or at Costco. And I sit there and I literally can do this in 15 minutes. I get all my meals down. It takes me less than 5 minutes. I go online, I order my food. When I do Whole Foods or my local grocery store, it's literally like the foods I ordered last week are right there. So boom, boom, boom. My husband usually goes to Costco once a week and we get a lot of our proteins there. And very often you can get same day or next day delivery. I can get all of my grocery shopping and my planning for my meals for the week done in 15 minutes. Now, let me ask you, if you did 15, even if it was 30 minutes and you get all of that done. Now, I know, when I do grocery shopping online, I might pay a $10 delivery fee. But the hours that it saves me doing that is well worth it. I always say we can make more money, we can't make more time. Getting your time back is worth the extra $10. Now, if you just can't do that, no problem. You go to the grocery store, you order online and do pickup, there's no charge for that. So there's no reason why you aren't working smarter instead of harder. You cannot earn your time back. We all have the same amount of hours in a day. And if you are finding dinner time to be such a stressful piece of the equation, I am here to tell you it doesn't have to be. And I don't want you to be putting this in your brain like it's just so stressful. Because here's the piece around the mindset. If we tell ourselves that figuring out dinner is just so hard, I never know what to cook, or it's just like my kids don't like anything, then that becomes reality. That becomes true. What we believe becomes what ends up happening. Our thoughts and our beliefs dictate our actions. And if you tell your brain dinner is hard, your brain will actually filter out all the kinds of things to reinforce that dinner is hard and stressful. But if you allow yourself to see, and I've been doing this for years, as have my clients, that dinner is actually not that stressful if you put the tools in place. You do not have to be super motivated to just cook a whole bunch of meals so that you can meal prep. That is where grab and go and meal replacements can come into effect during the day. Plus, when you make your recipes at night, and if you have all of your ingredients and a recipe, and I am telling you, my kids cook a couple times a week, my husband cooks a couple times a week, I just make sure I have all the ingredients there and the recipes, often either printed out or I just text them the JPEG of it that I get from the vault. They make the recipes. But if I am cooking, I know none of these meals are going to take me more than 30 minutes. And that's incredible because I am cooking for my family. I am giving them a meal that they're going to like. And I'm also pushing them to go beyond just like the chicken nuggets, right? And it has been tested. So you can tell me your kids aren't going to like it, but I also say to my kids, this is not a restaurant. This is what you're eating. I hope you enjoy it. And make them try new foods. Okay. But I will also say, basic proteins, like I said, chicken and broccoli or salmon and all, those are easy grab and go, or easy to make PFC meals too. It isn't about that as much as the intentionality. So in the beginning, maybe it'll take you 30 minutes to really get your rhythm going. And what are you going to plan? What's your grocery list? Go online, get everything in your cart, go and do drive up, pick up to pick it up if you don't want to pay the delivery fee, and have the ingredients on hand. And then every day, you know what the dinner plan is. And this is what I want to say to you. You don't show up to work without a plan of what you're going to do. No teacher, if a teacher ever showed up to your kid's classroom with literally no plan of what they were going to do all year long, you'd be like, my kid needs a new teacher. This isn't about executing perfectly. This isn't about giving everybody perfection. This is about being intentional. And when you are going to be able to show up for yourself and your family with less time and less stress. That's why I'm wearing this shirt today. It says, I love me. Because when you are actually thinking about the fact of how do I make sure that I am being really careful and strategic about my time while also being able to serve my family and myself, you are going to see that you are going to be able to do the things that you keep wanting to do, but life keeps getting in the way. You have to stick with the discipline, however, of what I call declining. The discipline of declining means declining the impulse to sleep in late on a Sunday, declining the impulse to just forget it, I'm not going to plan, declining the easy way and do the thing that you know will set you up for success that isn't going to take a ton of time. I make extra when I cook dinner. Again, I don't do it for hours on a Sunday. I make extra when I'm cooking, and then we put it in little containers, and then we have extra PFC meals during the day throughout the week. Sometimes I even know that I'm going to make extra, and then Wednesdays are going to be leftover days, and they have to go and grab their own PFC meals. That's completely acceptable, moms. I promise. But when you are actually planning out what you're going to do and then getting yourself an easy system, you are going to be able to show up for yourself. You do not need to make separate meals. This is a skill set that takes some practice and it's a habit, but it's so much less overwhelming than thinking you're going to meal prep for hours, thinking that you're going to subscribe to magazines to find different recipes, committing to saying, I'm going to try this recipe and that recipe, because you don't have any confidence that that recipe is also aligned with your weight loss goals. You don't have any confidence that your kids are going to be able to like it or that it's not going to take forever. So we want to make sure that you are really set up for success. That tool of the recipe subscription is one that I am adamant about because it is so powerful for you long term. And we try to make the price so low that you have it's a no-brainer. Go into it, go grab it so that you can start to set yourself up for success. The tools we have, all of our planning tools, I mean, we have a whole variety of planning tools that keep us organized. And again, we're going to do a time management whole challenge in March, but all of the tools are in our shop as well. But you don't need to grab all those. I want you to understand the concept of what I do. And I truly will tell you that if you take that time every week, put it in your calendar, set that appointment for yourself, just like you would expect your kids' teachers to do. Do this for you, do this for your family. It is going to make everything not just more manageable, but then you start to be able to reach your goals because you're not sacrificing your own desires to be able to make progress with your goals with what the kids want for dinner. And dinner doesn't become this belief that it's so stressful and difficult and that there's so many conflicting values. It doesn't have to be that way. So we are just about done. Like our recipe subscription is closing at the end of the month. Go grab it today, disruptivenutrition.com/recipes, and go see what it's all about. And get dinner on the table tonight. Start using these tools to be able to know it does not have to be overwhelming. And give yourself 30 minutes to start for the first couple of weeks. And after that, once you get a rotation and once you have the items in your kitchen on a regular basis, you're going to be able to see just how simple this is. All right. I want to know what you're taking away from this and how you're going to be able to implement a very stress-less weekly routine for fueling your body, feeding your family, being that mom that is able to do the things, but not necessarily perfectly. Remember, done is better than perfect. Intentionality is the foundation for being able to actually execute what it is. If we fail to plan, we truly plan to fail. That planning piece, 15 minutes a day on a Sunday, is all it takes. All right. What questions do you have? Put them down in the comments. I will absolutely answer them. Thanks.